Hello Army. The moment Park Jimin stepped onto the stage for day 2 of Soundcheck in Stanford Stadium, the entire atmosphere changed. It was instant. 1 second, the stadium was buzzing with anticipation. The next? Absolute chaos. A deafening wave of screams erupted from every corner of the venue as thousands of Army realized that Jimin was standing right there in front of them. Not through a screen. Not in a fan cam. Not in a photo. But in real life. Close enough to see the way his blonde hair caught the California sunlight. Close enough to notice the soft smile that slowly spread across his face as he heard fans chanting his name. And honestly, can we talk about that smile? Because it wasn't just a smile. It was that warm, slightly shy, heart-melting expression that somehow makes every fan feel seen. The kind of smile that says, "I'm happy you're here." The kind of smile that makes thousands of people completely lose their minds. And that is exactly what happened. The screams grew louder. Army bombs shook in the air. Purple banners fluttered like waves across the stadium. Fans clutched their hearts. Some covered their mouths in disbelief. Others were already crying. Because even though this was just Soundcheck, it felt like so much more. It felt intimate. Raw. Unfiltered. A rare moment where Jimin appeared relaxed, playful, and incredibly close to the people who love him most. He wore a simple outfit. Nothing overly flashy. And yet somehow, he looked breathtaking. How does he do that? How can someone look so effortlessly beautiful while doing something as ordinary as checking a microphone? The answer is simple. Because Jimin doesn't need elaborate styling or dramatic effects to captivate people. His presence alone is enough. He stood there, adjusting his in-ear monitor, glancing around the stadium with those gentle eyes, and the entire crowd reacted as if they were witnessing magic. And maybe they were. There is something about Jimin that feels almost unreal. The softness in his expression. The quiet confidence in the way he moves. The balance between elegance and humility. He can command the attention of tens of thousands without saying a single word. And on day 2 of Soundcheck, that power was undeniable. As the members of BTS spread across the stage, testing their microphones and joking with one another, fans were thrilled to see all 7 together. But every time Jimin appeared on the giant screen, the volume doubled. No, tripled. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. The moment his face filled the screen, the stadium exploded. You guys, did you hear those screams? They weren't ordinary cheers. They were the kind of screams that come from years of love. Years of admiration. Years of waiting for a chance to see him in person. And there he was. Real. Radiant. Standing beneath the bright California sky. At one point, Jimin glanced toward one section of the crowd and gave a tiny wave. That was it. Just a small, gentle wave. And yet thousands of fans reacted as if time had stopped. People jumped. Cried. Collapsed into the arms of their friends. Because when Jimin acknowledges the crowd, even in the smallest way, it feels deeply personal. Like he's reaching across the distance and saying, "I see you." And just when you thought Army couldn't get any louder, he laughed. That soft, angelic laugh. The one that instantly melts hearts. He covered his mouth slightly, his shoulders shaking as he reacted to the endless screams. And honestly, how is anyone supposed to survive moments like that? There was no barrier between artist and fans in that moment. No formal performance. No choreography. Just Jimin being himself. And somehow, that was even more powerful. As the soundcheck continued, he began moving around the stage with a relaxed energy that felt both playful and mesmerizing. He bounced lightly to the music. Spun his microphone. Tilted his head as he listened to the crowd. Each tiny movement sent fans into another frenzy. And the camera operators seemed to know exactly what everyone wanted. Because the giant screens kept capturing those perfect close-ups. The way his blonde hair framed his face. The sparkle in his eyes. The soft flush on his cheeks. The subtle smirk that appeared whenever he heard the crowd grow louder. Every close-up felt dangerous. Because the more you looked at him, the harder it became to look away. At one point, Jimin walked toward the edge of the stage and paused. He looked out at the sea of purple stretching across Stanford Stadium. Thousands of fans waving army bombs and chanting his name. For a brief moment, his expression changed. The playful smile softened into something more emotional. More reflective. You could almost see him taking it all in. The love. The devotion. The overwhelming energy of people who had traveled from around the world just to see him. And honestly, did you notice the way he seemed genuinely moved? Because that's one of the things fans love most about Jimin. No matter how famous he becomes, he never acts like he takes these moments for granted. He feels them. He absorbs them. He cherishes them. That sincerity is what makes every interaction feel real. Then, of course, Jimin did something that sent the entire stadium into complete hysteria. He brushed his hair back. That's it. One simple motion. His fingers sliding through his blonde hair. And suddenly the noise level became absolutely insane. You guys, the power this man has should be studied. How can a single gesture create that kind of reaction? How can one tiny movement become the moment everyone talks about for hours? Because when Jimin does anything, he does it with a kind of effortless grace that feels unforgettable. And just when fans were still recovering, he looked directly into one of the cameras. Held the gaze for a second. And smiled. Not a big smile. Just a small, knowing smile. Soft. Warm. Dangerously charming. The kind of smile that feels like it was meant for you. And the crowd absolutely lost it. Fans screamed so loudly that even the other members appeared amused. Some pointed toward Jimin. Others laughed at the crowd's reaction. Because even BTS knows what happens when Jimin decides to be effortlessly adorable. As the soundcheck moved on, the mood shifted between playful and emotional. One moment Jimin was laughing with the members. The next, he was standing quietly, looking out at the audience with an expression so tender it made fans cry. That contrast is what makes him so captivating. He can be cute and powerful. Playful and elegant. Shy and magnetic. All within the span of a few seconds. And somehow, every version of Jimin feels completely authentic. That's why ARMY connects with him so deeply. Because he doesn't feel distant. He feels human. He feels sincere. He feels like someone who truly understands the love being given to him. As the final moments of Soundcheck approached, fans seemed desperate to hold on to every second. Every wave. Every smile. Every glance. Because they knew these little moments would become treasured memories. Moments replayed over and over in fan cams. Moments discussed endlessly online. Moments remembered long after the concert ended. And even though the full show was still ahead, many fans were already overwhelmed. Some were crying. Some were speechless. Some simply stood there with their hands over their hearts, trying to process what they had just experienced. Because Jimin had done what he always does. He turned a simple soundcheck into something unforgettable. Something emotional. Something magical. It wasn't just a rehearsal. It wasn't just a quick microphone test. It was a reminder of why millions of people around the world adore him. His beauty. His warmth. His humility. His extraordinary ability to make every fan feel like they matter. And as Jimin took one last look at the crowd, offering another soft wave before stepping back, the screams followed him all the way across the stage. The lights were still bright. The music was still playing. The concert hadn't even started. And yet the hearts of thousands of ARMY were already completely full. Because before the first official song of the night, before the choreography, before the dazzling stage effects, before the explosive performances, Jimin had already stolen the show.